Good morning, EGF members. Good morning, EGF invited guests. Morning, South Africa. Morning, Greece. Morning, Germany. Morning, Cape Town. Morning, Johannesburg. Morning, Durban. Got people from all over the place. Really wonderful to be here. I also think we got some other international guests. My name is Justin Hawes. I'm the treasurer of the Event Greening Forum and the co-founder of the Event Greening Forum. Really wonderful to have everybody here. And really special. I think the chat is open, so any questions or comments, you're welcome to put it in there. In terms of our format, we're going to have a presentation by Orphee Beinoglou, who's going to be talking just now. And then we've got a panel chat, and that's going to be led by John with a very exciting panel today. So if you've got any questions during his presentation, you're welcome to put it in the chat, and then those will be addressed by John. Will be leading those conversations in the panel chat, and welcome to join in the chat, say hi, tell us where you're from, and really wonderful to have everybody here. I see a couple of comments here already, which is fantastic. Just a little bit about today. We're going to be talking about the net zero carbon events, NZCCE. And the NZC initiative is an initiative from our industry, which was started about 4 years ago to be more sustainable, and look at a 50% reduction in carbon by 2030 and 100% by 2050. So really exciting, and we're going down the road. I think what's quite interesting is that as an organization, Event Greening Forum, there are 8 pillars on the NZCE, the Net Zero Carbon Events Initiative: offsetting, food and food waste, measurement, venue, accommodation, travel, reporting, production, and logistics. So of the 8, we've covered 4 of them. And we will next year carry on covering the other elements in terms of the pillars. Our last presentation we were covering the production side, which is a joint link up with IFES, the International Federation of Exhibition and Event Suppliers. But today we're doing logistics, and we're very honoured to have IELA involved in this, the International Exhibition Logistics Association, which is based in Europe. The head office is based in Europe, but got members throughout the world. And we've even got our own South African member on the committee and involved, Jacqui now. And I'm always very proud, Jacqui, that you're representing us internationally. So thank you. And Elizabeth, thank you very much. I know we've had a long history. We've been involved in IFES before, and we've known each other for a long time. And thank you very much for our close relationships. And thank you very much for entertaining this today to actually link into your own platform and your own network. So thank you very much, Elizabeth. I think just from, we've got Orphee Beinoglou, who is the head of sustainability on the committee of IELA. He was on the committee since 2022, and it's really just wonderful to have you, Orphee, here today. Orphee's from Greece, and quite interestingly, John Arvanitakis and Orphee families are actually born in a very similar area in Greece. So some trivia. And the last bit of trivia, this is a really interesting one. One of the things that I said to Orphee, I'm passionate about mountain biking and bird watching, and I asked him what he's passionate about, and he says he loves sharks. So I don't know whether he's been in a shark tank or shark diving or whatever, but you must come to South Africa. There's some great shark diving, and there are lots of sharks around, and it's a very interesting thing that you're involved in. So without further ado, Orphee, over to you, present and lead us the way. Thank you, Orphee.
Thank you very much for this introduction. I am really looking forward to this presentation and the panel discussion, and thank you also for having me here. Give me 1 second to share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can. We can see it.
Okay, great. Let me bring this down. Okay. I start? Okay, great. So we are going to talk about NZCE and the climate and sustainability and how this affects our industry and what we can do about it. So, according to the World Economic Forum, it is recognized that climate change and its consequences is the most significant crisis humanity faces right now. To have a chance to live a better world for future generations, companies should focus on people, social part of it, planet, environmental part of it, which concerns in the same way they focus on profits. The exhibition sector is one of the industries contributing to vast amounts of emissions and waste creation. This is very unfortunate, but we are all involved in this kind of industry. It should be noted that the events industry is extremely diverse and the global decarbonizing will require collaboration across the whole supply chain. Regarding the last part of it, collaboration across the whole supply chain, is great that we are all here from different aspects, different point of view. We have the organizers, we have the venues, we have the stand builders, we have the logistics people, and it's great that we can collaborate and talk about this and discuss our strategy in order to do a better thing for the environment. So, quick word regarding what IELA is. IELA stands for International Exhibition Logistics Association. IELA was founded in 1986, and it's a worldwide trade association dedicated to enhancing the professionalism of the transportation, logistics, and freight handling segments of the exhibition and event industry. IELA members provide top quality performance and expertise, serving beyond expected industry standards in the care and safety of exhibit and the success of the exhibitions. I would also like to mention here that IELA has 154 members in 52 different countries in the world. So we are going to start with the four scope areas. This is the form of the presentation. And then we're going to discuss what IELA has done already regarding the sustainability and what is our future goals. We start with the four scope areas. So in 2023, the logistics workstream produced Rethinking Event Logistics document focused on identifying best practice areas to reduce the carbon emission associated with logistics at events. We are starting with the sustainable logistic. This is a slide which we are going to discuss and analyze. So we start with the change of mindset. So, change of mindset. All players in the supply chain, exhibitors, organizers, venues, logistics partners, stand builders, etc., must be aware of the devastating circumstances which humanity will face very soon if we continue business as usual. Of course, I understand that for all of us, priority number one is profit and how to make money and how to work. But on the other hand, the crisis that we experience, the environmental crisis that we're experiencing at the moment, has been something that we are concerned and we have to face, and we have to be very specific on what we have to do in the near future. So change of mindset for everyone, and not only the parts that I described earlier, but for the airlines, of course, for the shipping companies, etc., which we are using in order to ship stuff all over the world. They have to change as well, like we are. Education. How we are going to change our mindset through education. Education material must create a desire for conscious leadership and be supported by a clear vision and roadmap on how it can be achieved for all stakeholders. So through education, through understanding what is sustainability, what are we doing, what are we going to do, where are we at the moment, It's the most important factor regarding everything that we are going to discuss. Only through education, and not only through education, only through correct education and correct way of describing what we are experiencing now, we can then start from that point. Measurement tools as driver of change. So through education, we understand where we are, but through the tools that we can have, we understand where we can start from. So the first concrete step to start reducing emissions needs to be based on facts rather than assumptions. Measuring our carbon footprint is necessary in order to identify which are the main sources of emissions and which activities have the highest carbon intensity. This way, we drive our efforts more meaningfully towards areas that really need our attention. Measuring is also the only way to track the progress we are making, to see if the measures we take and the best practices we adopt are working or not. I understand that some of you already are measuring your CO2 emissions. Not all of the association is doing this at the moment, but it's a very good start in order to understand where we are and prioritize what we are going to do in order to understand a better way what can be done. Accurate insights into emissions can introduce more targeted approaches to reducing emissions in each logistics-related process, from the office operations to the transportation part, to the on-site handling, electricity consumption, means of transportation, as we described earlier, routes, loading efficiency, waste management, etc. Transport modes and carrier analysis. The selection of transport modes is highly significant determinant of logistics emissions. Air freight has a carbon intensity of almost 100 times more compared to sea freight. However, sea transport is significantly slower, and not all cargo can be shipped via sea freight. Railway, on the other hand, is one of the modes of transport with a smaller impact of the environment, but the railway network is limited and does not offer much flexibility. By the percentage railway network is limited, I mean that there is no infrastructure, so we cannot support this kind of transportation a lot. I believe in most continents. This decision-making process is not in line with the recent trends in the logistics and supply chain market that demand last-minute service and fast deliveries. I believe everyone understands that in our daily lives, we want and we can make our decision at the last minute, and everyone wants everything to be fast. Like if you order online, you can do this very late, like right before Christmas, and you need it to be shipped very fast. It is not easy to break free from that concept, but whenever possible, carriers should be preferred if they use electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, sustainable fuels, etc., or if they demonstrate environmental certifications, measurement of their own carbon footprint and related actions. So regarding this slide, it is very important to understand that air freight produces the more CO2 emissions, but most of the industries of the kind of the exhibition that we have are sit with air freight and then sea freight. Regarding sea freight, we have a great problem with time. It's you need maybe 30, 45 days in order to ship stuff from the one side of the world to another. Then you have customs. Regardless if the deadline is correct, there is always a chance that you can have an issue. Therefore, many companies actually prefer to ship stuff via air freight. So, shipment consolidation. the more a vehicle is loaded to its full capacity, the better it is in terms of carbon intensity. Whenever possible, vehicles traveling empty or half-empty should be avoided. I think this is clear for everyone. It's our target as well, not only regarding sustainability, but not unfortunately, but of course regarding profit. If we have a full consolidation of the truck or the container, FCL or RCL, it's great because we save money, we save time, and we save energy and to ship in order to ship stuff to the exhibition center. Planning deadlines for preparation of materials and timing. Good preparation is key to reducing the carbon footprint an event. For me, this is very important because planning and organizing your work is a key in order to have a more smooth and sustainable way of transport. Acting in advance increases the chances of scoring higher in the sustainable management of the shipping process, for example, by selecting slower transport modes with lower emissions, while last-minute booking demands emergency solutions that normally have higher environmental impact. So this is not only regarding for the logistics part of the exhibition, but it also affects the stand builders. And I wanted to bring up this because stand builders have deadlines, like logistics companies have their deadlines. But if we work together better and in a more proper way, maybe we can have better deadlines when we collaborate. So this has an effect also to the sustainability, how we are going to ship stuff. For example, on site, if the truck is already there and the stand building is not done yet, for AZ reason, if we have been more organized, we wouldn't ship the stuff earlier, so it would be better. These are the rest of the general topics I have mentioned. We will pass it. So paperless processes. I'm sure everyone understands that, and everyone understands that not all countries can really go like this. I mean, for example, in Greece, we don't have any paperless processes regarding the customs, the air freight, the sea freight, the road freight transportation. What would be great is Internet of Things and AI. It would be great tools if we could have that, and we would take advantage and have a more paperless processes. But you understand that this is not applicable in most of the countries. Then we have the sustainable use of digital solution, again, through IT platforms, AI. This is very close to organizing your work, structuring your work in a better way, prioritizing what you have to do, when you have to do, correct timelines. This will be a very, very big boost and help in order to have a more sustainable transportation, regardless if it's on-site or a last-mile delivery. Ninth topic is sustainable packaging, reusing, recycled and recycling. This is a very big topic. Sustainable packaging has a very sensitive part in all of this. The closest thing I could come is like we have industries where there's no packaging. I mean, exhibition events where there's no packaging, so heavy machinery, etc. But you also have exhibitions which you can use flight cases and crates. This is very sustainable for us because it's reused. Regarding other industries or other type of packaging, it's not very similar to that because the packaging you have, for example, in a fast food, it's the recycled package is only for very small parts and like plates, forks, knives. This would be more applicable to us if it's recycled. But then if it's recycled, you understand that the prices go up, like if it's a recycled pallet or the bubble wrap you use to pack the goods. If all this is recycled, it's the cost is very high. 10th point, choosing specialized freight forwarder. Thank God you have IELA, our association. Everyone in this association is a specialized freight forwarder with experience in their countries where they operate, the work they do, they know how they have. It's great. And if we work together, we assure you as an industry that you will have great results in all the events and exhibitions. Official on-site contractor with sustainable fleet. Again, this is something everywhere. This is something very important, and we work like that. Official contractor means that someone has a better view of the exhibition center, a better know-how of the exhibition center, and a better way of doing all the on-site transportation, etc. Maybe they have a very good collaboration with the exhibition venue, and they use electrical fleet and sustainable trucks to do all the deliveries, etc. Of course, in order to do that, you need supply chain management and responsible purchasing. Responsible purchasing is not necessarily expensive purchasing. If you organize the needs you want in order to do an on-site delivery or a last mile delivery through a truck or through a van, you can start developing your fleet so more specific. Therefore, it's not all the time expensive. If you know what you have to do regarding purchasing, it's not expensive most of the times. Money is a barrier in this topic, and not only this topic, but the whole aspect for logistic and exhibition events. But if you analyze and prioritize what you want to do and how you want to do it, trust me, purchasing can be a very smooth thing to do. So this is all regarding the sustainable logistics, and we move forward to the remote and last mile logistics. So we start with warehousing and storage. The location of the warehouse and its proximity to the venue can significantly affect the emissions related to logistics. You understand, if the venue has a warehouse which is very close to it, this is very sustainable. Or a warehouse which is very close to the airport or to the seaport or to the highway. This means less miles to drive. This means faster time. This is more organized, and it's great. Direct delivery to the venue instead of to warehouse can be an even more sustainable solution. We understand that, but to be honest, this is not applicable most of the time. Sometimes it's better to have a delivery at your warehouse and organize yourself, not only regarding the operations part of the business, but also regarding the sustainable part of the business. For example, as you know, exhibitions are the venues are split into different areas and rooms, so you can arrange the transportation according to each area of the exhibition. If warehouses are used, choosing warehousing facilities which implement sustainable solutions like LED lighting, photovoltaic panels on warehouse roofs, or fleet electrification can further improve sustainability. Definitely, this is very important. Some countries, I believe all countries, have different regulations from the government regarding the photovoltaic panels and how you can do it, and countries, governments try to invest in things like that. So again, this regarding the purchasing that we described, that I described earlier. It's very important to know because this can be all driven by the government. I mean, regarding who will pay or. So next part is delivery, consolidating the deliveries to the venue in a way that utilizes the full capacity of each vehicle can have a significant impact on the total greenhouse gases produced. As we described earlier, consolidation, it's very important, not only regarding on site, but also regarding shipping this to one country. So, excuse me, for example, we ship from Greece to South Africa. We keep all the shipment into one full container load. We don't want to ship twice. Again, maybe if we act faster, we can ship a container and then an exhibitor, something pops up and he says, look, we need one more pallet, or I want to ship this, or I want to ship this via air freight. I forgot, it's last minute, or by courier, or whatever. Everyone has experienced that because of the exhibitor's needs on the exhibition. Again, planning this, and not only planning, communicating this with the exhibitor is a key role to this, because everyone here, we work and we get paid at the end of the day from the exhibitor. So if we communicate this in a good way that the exhibitor understands how we would like to work, how we want to work in a more sustainable way, that would be great. And not only for the logistics part of you, but also for the regarding the stand builders, the venues, the organizers, etc. Third part, data collection and performance evaluation. Measuring the emissions produced is a critical step in taking meaningful actions towards reducing them, as well as for the evaluation of the overall progress of those actions. So it would be great that we can have CO2 tools in order to understand where we produce the most emissions, where is the problem, identify what is the situation, and then we can start making progress. Next part will be the traffic management and the smart cities. TMS, reducing traffic management system, reducing the number of trips to from the venue. As described before, we have the need to do this. We are already doing it, but the transport management system could be a lot of help. IoT, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, etc., frequency of the shipments, understanding the client needs, the client behavior, the exhibitor behaviors would be great. Some of you, because I think I'm the youngest here, already do this because of experience. And experience is very important. But in order to get this to a next step, I believe we would need the transport management system, which is more efficient, and we will have more effective results. Planning of departure times in a way that peak rush hours are avoided. We have some exhibitions that the dismantling is being late in the night, so there's no traffic at that time. There's no rush hour outside the exhibition center, because in the exhibition center, it's a crazy time to be, but a fascinating time as well. So yes, I mean, this is something that you have to see, not only regarding the organizer of the exhibition, but also regarding the city, and the city can play a key role about this. We've been to exhibitions all over the world where you can have a pass as a visitor regarding the exhibition center, regarding the local transportation if you're using a bus. So again, if we get more organized and we communicate this in a better way with the official authorities, etc., this will have a great result for us and for them, for the pollution, for the city, for the citizens, regardless if they are visiting the exhibition or not. Adopting safety measures such as speed limiters, defensive driving, driving behavior monitoring, etc. Definitely, this is about educating people who work in the exhibition industry. This is about educating all the suppliers. It's very important. Then I would like to talk about the IT platform. As I said, it is true that increased traffic problems cause congestion, pollution, and accidents. There is a strong call for sustainable traffic management with clearly predefined objectives. Traffic management is not easy as it comes with high costs, and the industry will need to have discussions about who will be responsible for carrying these costs. These are some of the best practices that can be adapted to reduce emissions by traffic management. Regarding the part which I write, who will be responsible for carrying these costs? I think all of us, all of us have to play our role, communicate, explain our needs, explain our work, understand better the exhibition and how the exhibition industry is changing and shifting. Therefore, we can all have, if we work together, we can all have an input on that. And I believe we will have the results that we need. Next part is barrier and identification for the implementation of best practices. Thank you. So far, we've seen where we are, what we want to do, and we try to figure out how we want to do it in a more effective way. This seems very nice. This would be accurate in an ideal environment. As you know, there are some barriers that is not as easy as we describe it. It would be great if we can take these barriers and turn them around and make them our advantage. So we start with resources. Of course, sustainable technology is not for free. There are a lot of platforms already out there. There is a lot of expertise. There is a lot that people are doing. You have not only people, companies, public sector, UN. So in order to get this information, get aligned with these associations and etc., we have to pay. As I described earlier, it's not as much as you would believe to pay if we structure, if we get organized well, and if we start step by step. Of course, upgrading equipment and infrastructure comes with a cost. Okay, I understand upgrading equipment. It's different if you want to change the lights to LED, and it's different if you want to say that, you know what, I want to change my 5 trucks to diesel to go full electric. Of course, that's a big difference. It's understandable, but you can start with 1 truck. You can start with 1 electric van, like we did. You can start changing the lights to LED in 1 warehouse. Apart from the assets owned by the company, the assets owned by the subcontractors that we use are also part of the equation. Of course, this is, we can't be sustainability and eco-friendly and then use subcontractors which are not. We are trying, like now that we are talking together, we are trying to do this with our subcontractors, monitor them, educate them, explain them, and invest with them as well. One potential solution will be to add sustainability terms and quotations, allocating part of this cost to our client. I may write it down. Yes, if I agree 100%, no, but it's a topic that I would also like to discuss before after when we have the panel. Because I said earlier that we can all pay regarding this, logistics companies, sun builders, venues, the organizers. I don't want to say at the end of the day, all of this will come to the exhibitor. My point of view would be for all of us to have a small impact rather for an exhibitor to have the full impact. But also this depends regarding which country is the exhibition and what are the costs, etc. And yes. So education and measurement. Many stakeholders are not aware why it is important to transform to sustainable operations or how to do that. That's why we need to start educating our teams and partners in a collaborative, cross-functional way. I believe this is exactly what we are doing today. We have the opportunity to educate ourselves, to talk about this, to put and discuss our concerns and the issues and how we are going to work better. Sharing updates of the journey is also very important, as setting an example shows the way. Yes, we are setting the example to this journey. It's not start doing things and start this is the first step, but the continuity and updating and trying to measuring the progress, it's great. It's very difficult because also this has a cost, and also everyone is very concerned regarding their day-to-day business, and most of our colleagues and people that we work with, they put aside all of this, but this is not something correct. It's something possible that we have to do. Third part, infrastructure and regulation. Technology and infrastructure development need to advance further to support the sustainable transformation. Technology is not an ally, if you ask me, so far with us. We could get way better effective use of technology and artificial intelligence. We have artificial intelligence implemented to many industries, but not in our industry. For example, thinking about upgrading to an electrical fleet or vehicle has no meaning if there is no grid of charging stations to support those vehicles to get from point A to B. For example, in Greece, there is very few trucks and electric vehicles exactly because of that. There is no infrastructure. If I get a truck and I try to do all the deliveries, we have to charge it 3-4 times a day into different locations, which means that we are definitely not going to be on time regarding the delivery, etc. Infrastructure is something which is assigned to the government, if you ask me, to the public sector, to companies which are building new warehouses, new roads, etc. So we have to work with the public sector and in order to have a better result. One way to speed up things is up to collectively work together with the regulators locally and regionally by sharing the needs of the industry and by helping them to understand how they should prioritize their action. Again, it's all about the willing to understand, to communicate with the public sector, the government, the local authorities, to, of course, obey the law and the rules that are there. But on the other hand, they have to also work with us in order to have a more sustainable industry. So, having said that, industry collaboration, acting together has a much greater impact than acting alone. I believe all of us, as suppliers to the exhibition industry have done and are doing a lot of stuff regarding sustainability. It would be great if every one of us would be aligned and communicate and putting all this time and effort as a team. This is again very hard because we have a daily routine, because the business that we are involved is very time sensitive. The way to achieve this is to gather information about our progress as individuals, to see how we are doing as a team. A digital platform would be very useful for that purpose. Again, as I said before, we are not taking advantage the technology as we should. Here, it would play a significant role if we had a digital platform. We could put all our thoughts there, communicate better, discuss more frequently, etc. Scope area, on-site logistics, measurement, tracking, planning, decarbonization. Measuring, tracking, and planning are an important part of on-site logistics as well in order to achieve decarbonization. Regarding on-site logistics, I discussed this earlier. If we understand what we have to do, then we measure. If we measure, then we are tracking, we can check our progress, and we can plan what to do in order to achieve the ultimate goal of decarbonization. So we have completed all the scopes I wanted to discuss and to talk to you. Now I want to discuss and talk on what IELA has done so far and what IELA would like to do in the future with you. So, 2019, we created the IELA sustainability guidelines. Sorry about that. 2022, IELA created the sustainability working group, which it was a great start. We started to put so much information and thoughts on that. Everyone had an idea. Let's plant a tree. Let's make a CO2 emission tool. Let's use recyclable giveaways. Let's use glass, not plastic. Let's do this. Let's do that. And the information we gathered and we are still gathering, and the ideas that everyone has is unbelievable big. This is something I was a part of that team. I still am. I experienced a lot of information that people asked me that let's do this, let's do that. So at some point, with the chair of the sustainability working group, Marta from Spain, we discussed about that, and we said that Marta, Orphee, you know what? Let's step back. Let's take a breath. Let's organize what we want to do, and then we will figure out how we want to do it. I'm saying this again because I think organizing, planning what we want to do and the way, it's very important according to the environment and all the sectors. 2022, IELA was signed GEMIC pledge and started leading the GEMIC logistics work stream to deliver on the roadmap for the net NZC. This was amazing that we achieved that, and it has been an excellent opportunity again to expose our feelings and our thoughts and all the know-how that we may have. 2023, IELA organized 3 webinars for all the members about NZCE as part of the sustainability awareness campaign. Next slide, we are going to see that in 2024, we have more sustainability webinars, which is great. IELA has created the measuring of CO2 emissions form, CO2 tool to calculate the emissions. It is a very good tool to start with. And by that, I'm going to explain that IELA members, we have members across the world with 10 people company, and we have members which have thousands of employees. So you understand that it's very unbalanced what our members can do and what already do. So we thought of that and we found a tool that would be equal for everyone and something that we can start. Now, if a company is more experienced or they already do something else, it would be great. We have our eyes there and our ears open to listen, understand, and learn and adopt into another method as well. As I said, that is only from the start. We will do it for this next year. And the company which has the best, let's say, document delivered, they're going to be awarded. This is the Smart Award that we have created. It's not the award, it's IELA trying to motivate all the members to be on the same page and hop on the ship and drive together to a more sustainable future. Regarding future, the work done by the logistics work stream is a great start. We identified the steps we have to take, but now we need to turn them into an action plan with short, middle, and long-term goals. Regarding the long-term goals, it would be great if we could do stuff together. Work is still in progress, but education and training of all stakeholders is a very important first step. Keeping up with new developments in technology, best practices, and legislation is necessary. IELA has created a series of educational webinars for the members across the world and encourage them to take part in the NetC logistics workstream. We have started a lot and we continue a lot educating our members. By that, it's not educating only our members, it's educate ourselves as well. We are not the most experts regarding sustainability and what we have to do, so we learn. The same time, the members learn, we learn. We do mistakes, we find them, we change them, and we progress with our members as well. Another very important aspect is to keep exhibitors, event organizers, venue owners, stand builders, and service providers engaged and informed, because otherwise our work will not be that successful. It will be, but it would just be a drop in the ocean. If we work together, it would be the whole ocean. Leadership and communication is key for that. Transformation of the ecosystem of the events industry starts with us working on our sustainability policy on company level, but it needs to be spread on the event level so that our plans can be effective. This is my presentation. I hope I covered all the aspects that you were looking forward to hear. It's a great topic. Before everyone joined online, me and John Arvanitakis discussed and we said that we could talk about sustainability and what we do and all this brainstorming for hours and hours. I tried to keep that into 35 minutes, 40 minutes. And I would like also to thank Event Greening Forum. Thank you, John. Thank you, IELA. Thank you, everyone, for having me to present this.
Thank you, Orphee. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. It was really a fantastic talk and some great content. And I do hope we can put it on our Lynn and Kaylin. I do hope that we can put it onto our portal to share with everybody. I think really,
Thank you.
you are really fantastic. Thanks, Orphee, and it's really some good content there. And I think it's it helps us to see your own journey, because we're also an association in a similar way, and your own journey is actually quite interesting what you've tackled. I think before I hand over to the panel, thanks very much to our patron sponsors. We have 6 patron sponsors, and the patron sponsors supporting today is Heritage Eco Events. Thank you very much, Heritage Eco Events, and Trigger. So thank you very much. Just a big round of applause to them. And thank you very much for that support, because without their support as patron members, we couldn't do what we do. So thank you very much. Just to mention, the chat is open. So if you've got any questions, and I know, John, you fired up with a whole lot of other questions as well, but the chat is open to ask for questions. And I've got the honor and privilege to introduce John, who's our chairperson of Event Greeting Forum. John has been in the industry for 27 years, got a business called Chatter, always been a very committed sustainability ambassador. John, really, it's really great having you as our chair, and you really are very vocal, very active, and you really lead by example. So John, thank you very much, and over to you as our leader of the panel. Over to you, John. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justin, and thank you very much for those very kind and generous words. Really, I do appreciate it, and thank you to yourself for the vision that you and Jacqui and the other founders of the Event Greeting Forum had to start this association so many years ago. And it's so wonderful to see that it has grown to the size it has today. So the Event Greeting Forum, very passionate organization. We're here to provide education and training and recommendations and solutions to the various different sectors in the eventing industry in South Africa. And as we said earlier, we're hoping to expand north of the South African borders into Africa as well. So thank you very much, and thank you all to our members, those of you who are joining us this morning, those of you who can't, and hopefully those of you who will be watching this recording at a later point. Thank you very much as well. I'd like to say a very big thank you to Orphee and to IELA for agreeing to participate in today's workshop. It really is important that we address the different key points that feature within our industry, both in the exhibition and the event industry, and logistics is one of those that make the biggest contribution towards the carbon footprint in our industry. So to address those issues is vitally important if we want to make a significant impact within and with regards to the event industry's contribution to the Net Zero Carbon Events Initiative. So thank you very much, Orphee. It's fantastic to see what you and IELA are doing for our industry, and I just hope that we can also make that contribution by helping to spread the word and share the information that you've shared with us. So thank you very much for that. So without any further ado, let me introduce the panel that are going to be talking today. We have both some international guests as well as local South African guests. So we really are going to have a very interesting discussion about how the international industry is dealing with this specific topic, and how South Africans are doing with it, and what we can learn from one another, and hopefully as I said, make that contribution towards the 2050 goal of a net zero carbon events initiative. To joining us today, so, following all protocol, we'll start with our international guests. I'd like to welcome Elizabeth Niehaus, all the way from Barcelona in Spain. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Elizabeth is an executive officer with IELA. Then, of course, we have Orphee, Beinoglou, all the way from Athens, Greece, as he said. So Kalimera. That's not often I get to say that on a webinar in South Africa. So Kalimera. And then I would also like to, of course, welcome from our South African perspective, Jacqui now. As you all know, Jacqui is a fantastic leader, member of the Event Greening Forum, as well as on AXO and EXA. So Jacqui does a lot within the logistics space in South Africa and has her own logistics company that we all know very well here in South Africa. So welcome, Jacqui. Thank you for being part of today's discussion. And then, of course, from an organizer's point of view, we would also like to welcome the Vice President of DMG, and that is Joshua Lowe. Welcome, Joshua. So what I want to do is just ask each of the panelists to do a quick, short introduction about themselves and their involvement in the industry. And we'll start with you, Elizabeth, ladies first.
Yes. So I'm Elizabeth Niehaus. I'm IELA's executive officer, and one of the questions, that you, John, addressed is how, when was the starting point when sustainability became really, in my mind, in my eyes, key, and this was literally, on 1917, I was at Sierra Leone, which is the biggest hospitality show in the world. And I could literally not walk through the aisle because of the mountains of waste. Not every single forklift could just go the pass because everything was waste. And that was very clear to me. We need to do something. This is really what we are delivering. Is not only not sustainable, it's not rational. And and that was my starting point in this important journey.
Fantastic. Thanks, Elizabeth. So we look forward to hearing more about that in our discussions just now. Orphee, I know that you've just presented, and maybe some of the folk that have just joined us have missed the beginning of your talk. So a quick introduction to yourself, please. And also, if you could tell us what moment in your career that sparked your commitment to sustainable logistics.
Thank you, John. So my career started 10 years ago in our, we have a family company in Athens, Greece. I work there for 10 years. 8 of them are dedicated to the exhibitions department we have. As Elizabeth, I was also on site many times for all the deliveries and in the warehouse, etc. I'm trying to find an answer on your question, when was sustainability something that I saw and I said, this is mine? I don't believe there was a moment. I think I always, through my mother, because my mom is half, she's British, and she was more responsible recycling and be friendly with the environment, not like my other side, which is Greek, and it's not. Yeah, so I think it's, that was when I started to feel more sensitive about the environment and how sustainable can we are and what can we be, not only as a company, but as individually as well.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Orphee.
Yeah.
I think we all sort of have that one aha moment when we've been to an exhibition or an event and we've actually been back of the house and we've seen what amount of rubbish there is. Mine happened exactly similar. I was at the Cape Town Convention Center and it was just after an exhibition and I went outside and I saw the skips and I just saw the piles and piles of exhibition material being thrown away into the skips and realized that this was all going to go to a landfill site, which was going to create enormous environmental issues. So that was my sort of aha moment. Jacqui, for yourself, for those who don't know who you are in the South African industry, do you want to just do a quick introduction and then again also just let us know what was that aha moment for you in terms of how do I get involved in the logistics industry and make it more environmentally friendly? Sorry, Jacqui, I think you're on
Sorry.
mute.
Apologies. For me, it started, half of my career has been in the commercial side of shipping and the other half in the exhibition side. And when I started my career working for a shipping line, they really had good systems in place. They were already part of the IBM. They had their own network. And we had to be efficient. We had to get 3,500 containers off a ship and processed and up to Johannesburg in 2 days. Then our rail system was fairly efficient. But the efficiency was an aha moment in that your digital platforms create efficiency. And part of where I was, it was the transport. So some of the containers would come by rail, some of them would come by transport. And we were really spoiled because at that time it was the beginning of containerization. The trucks were fairly new. And as we got deeper and deeper moving containers around the country, the trucks got older, they leaked oil. And I think this is just completely unsustainable. There's oil on the roads, and that costs money to repair. They overloaded, which breaks our roads. It tears up the tar. So that really was an aha moment that actually I wanted to run the digital platforms through my own business to create the efficiency and to be efficient within logistics, because that is actually the groundwork to being sustainable, is having those platforms in place that create efficiency.
Fantastic. And then, of course, recently in South Africa, one of the biggest challenges for us is the damage that's been done to the rail network. And we're now putting everything back on the road again, which again just talks going back again full circle to what you're saying. So, well, one of those things that we need to talk about, and perhaps we can just have a few words about that later on in the debate. And then definitely not least, but last is Joshua Lowe from DMG. Josh, again, a quick introduction to yourself, how you got involved in the industry, and what was your aha moment that said, hey, I need to start doing something about the environment because the industry and work in just is a massive contribution.
Yeah, so I'm obviously the Vice President of DMG Events South Africa, so I oversee their South African operation, but also the mining and transport portfolio for the group. I'm also on the board of AXO, and for my sins, I look after the sustainability portfolio. My aha moment was probably about 3 years ago. There's a bit of a passion project. I launched the ESG Africa conference. For those of you who don't know what ESG stands for, it's environmental social governance. And I think just being more involved in it through that platform, I've kind of developed a bit of a passion and a drive for it. And ever since, I've been involved in the DMG Events Global Sustainability Working Group, as I say, with AXO now, and obviously looking very much at DMG event shows that we've got across Africa and how we can run things in a more sustainable fashion.
Great. Thank you very much, Joshua. And thank you to everybody else on the panel for those quick introductions and letting us know when your journeys began. So I'd like to kick off this discussions today with you, Elizabeth, if you don't mind. I'd like to ask you, IELA focuses on education to change mindsets. What key educational interventions would you recommend for South African stakeholders? So obviously you work in a global point of view. For South African, because we are speaking to a mainly South African audience today, I'd like to see how IELA in your international can transpose those to a South African environment.
Well, I think, that this example, what we are doing today, sharing knowledge, it's key. So I think, not just being efficient, collaborating and spreading the word. But the most important thing then is just implementing locally. I think it's very, very important that all the knowledge that has been gathered and is being gathered, thanks to collaboration in the value chain with all stakeholders. For example, what we experienced at the Net Zero Carbon Events Initiative, at the logistic work stream. We were a bunch of people representing the whole industry, from organizers, venue owners, service providers, logistics providers, working together and just presenting the world a document with 38 pages. And now what we are doing is sharing this knowledge. But the most important thing, and this is what we strongly suggest you guys in South Africa, is that you start implementing now. And how you can implement, education is great. Education is key. Just training our people, because they are the drivers of change, but they are other enablers like technology. So, and I think, that working together in South Africa, for example, having a common, all together an exhibitor area where you use the exhibitor area at exhibitions as enabler of change, for example, where stand builders, organizers, the venue, logistic providers can really work together at this exhibitor area just to reduce waste, to reduce carbon emissions due to cargo, because you can consolidate. Our strongest tip or suggestion will be start implementing together in real projects.
That's absolutely correct. And one of the things I wanted to ask you, because obviously you're right, collaboration and education is one of the most important aspects in communicating anything and starting something new and fresh. One of the reasons why the EFG, as I said in the beginning, is in existence is partners like yourselves globally. It gives us that global context that we can implement locally. And there's also things that South Africa, from a growing economy status, can share with the global north. The global south at the moment gets seen as the inferior, but there are some instances where we, because of our specific challenges, we can help to transfer that knowledge to the global north as well. One of the questions I wanted to ask you is who would you say is the responsible party to kick this all off? Is it from an organizer perspective, or is it from the supplier perspective? Who's the one that should be making the suggestions that these happening, or is it something that you see that both? But as far as we get it, there's always going to be that initiator. So we're not sure whether the initiation comes from the organizer's point of view or from the partner point of view, like yourselves as a supplier to the chain of exhibitions.
I think that that's a chicken or egg question. And I think that the right answer is just take ownership, whoever you are. Just take ownership of, being an enabler of change. We are all responsible. It could be in one particular project, it could be the organizer. In another project, it could be the venue. In another project, could be Jacqui, as logistic provider. But I think, if we, let's say, just if we see each other as change implementers, that the ones, we take ownership and we make this happen. And the beauty of this is we are not alone. So we work all together in order just to make the impossible possible.
Absolutely. You love the answer, and you answered exactly the way I wanted it to be answered, because, it's always very, the normal human philosophy is, wait for somebody else to do something. And like you say, if you want to see change, you need to start from yourself. And that segues nicely into the question that I wanted to ask you, Jacqui. So how can global strategies from your time with IELA be adapted to address the unique logistic challenges in South Africa, particularly focusing obviously on sustainability, because that's what we're here to talk about today? What have you learned globally that can be implemented in South Africa? And is there something from South Africa that we can get other, Jacqui? Again, you're on mute.
Keep on doing it. It's about collaboration. It's building those relationships, and like Elizabeth said, everybody's got to take ownership, and that's fine, but there has to be a knowledge and an education that comes with it. And through the association represent large amounts of people and businesses that are invested in their industry. They're serious about their business. So the associations can be used as a platform to get the message out, to reach all their membership, so that I love the African proverb that comes up. You know, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And it's exactly about that, is the associations as a group are driving their members through knowledge. They're the ones that are interacting with the bodies that want change, and that message then goes out to all the members. And slowly through innovation, dialogue, being open and transparent with each other is going to drive that change. In South Africa, we have a few challenges, and that we are, and it's probably worldwide, we are road reliant. Its sea freight is out there, but it's a long haul. And are the exhibitors really prepared to start planning 3 to 4 months before an event? Because for us, we're a long haul destination. It takes 45 days, and then you've still got challenges with the port because of the old infrastructure. Multi-transport might work in Europe, but it's not going to really work in South Africa. You've got road transport through into Africa. Well, the borders, it's risky. It's very paper dominated, long queues. So crossing our borders and getting into Africa by road is going to be a risky business. But like the likes of EXA, Leanne is already starting to connect with the organizers and motivate that dialogue. Elizabeth is already creating the dialogue across the globe. So I think that has already started. We just need to share our stories. I think more of us need to be encouraged to share our stories, because we think maybe nothing's happening, but actually there's a lot happening because we all have our stories.
Absolutely. And that, again, you know, I love the fact that the key takeout that's coming through from today's discussion so far is about that collaboration and that education role. And that's what the EGF as an association is here for, us to collaborate and bring all the associations in South Africa and, as I said, globally together, so that we can share the knowledge and education to all our various different members and stakeholders. Talking about stories, we all have a story, and I have one too, about a shipment that went AY between South Africa and Mauritius for an exhibition. Again, you know, also making sure that you deal with professional shipping companies that understand the regulations. And we had the incident where a ship was not allowed to leave the port because it had dangerous material in the cargo, and that delayed everybody's shipment going off to Mauritius. And then on top of it, when it finally had to be offloaded and reloaded with the new material, my stand was sitting on that ship. We ended up, because the actual stand that we were shipping only arrived the day the show ended. So, you know, those were things that we all have stories and nightmares about that. So it goes back to the point that Orphee was talking about earlier on, and that is planning. And planning, importantly, because you need to also plan for a plan B in case you have those issues. And shipping between South Africa and Mauritius, for example, there's the issue with cyclones and weather-related issues, which also compounded that problem as well. So yeah, it all was a great story. But as you say, we have those stories and we all have them to share. And I think one day we need to write a book about our stories and collaborate on that. Josh, tell me a little bit about DMG, and also how you as an organizer approach logistics, and how do you go about selecting the partner that you would want to work with in terms of logistics for exhibitions that you organize or are part of?
Yeah, so I think we have to distinguish between the way we've done it in the past and what we're going to be doing going forward, because I think it's important for suppliers to understand. So we obviously subscribe to the Orphee Net Zero Pledge, which again is 50% reduction in emissions by 2030, 100% by 2050. So increasingly, and I can see this happening across other organizers too, the selection process will demand of suppliers, logistics suppliers, that they provide a sustainability plan, that they're very clear in terms of what their sustainability initiatives are. You know, but I think also, speaking quite frankly, we have to understand that a lot of what happens in logistics space for an event takes place outside of the organizer's control. Yeah. So again, just following on the theme that's come up so far in this conversation, I think a lot of the work that needs to be done is around education. It's about not only education with organizers and with suppliers, but also with exhibitors. You know, if we do these big exhibitions and we have big international agents bringing pavilions into the country, we don't at this stage have any control or oversight in terms of all the logistics companies that they're making use of. And that in itself makes up a large percentage of the carbon emissions from the event. So I think a lot of it is, you know, getting exhibitors to understand what the benefits are in terms of consolidating trips and using suppliers that are more sustainable in their approach, not only for the event itself, but also from a cost perspective, it can benefit them too. So I think, you know, as I say, going forward, we've got these very stringent targets. I think this year, what we've started doing is measuring our carbon emissions across all our events globally, because I think we needed that baseline to understand where we are. But I think from next year, they're going to be quite strict targets to reduce that. And as such, we're going to be speaking to logistics suppliers and making sure that they are doing all they can to run their businesses in a more sustainable way.
Josh, dealing directly with both suppliers as well as clients, in the sense that your clients are your exhibitors and the suppliers are people like the logistic companies that contribute towards the success of an exhibition, as well as the standard, etc. And understanding that sometimes you don't have the connection between the logistics supplier and the end product supplier, which is the stand builder or booth builder. What are your thoughts about there being some sort of single supplier base to an exhibition, for example, where there is an official freight forwarder or a logistics company that's appointed that everybody can make use of, in order for there to be that consolidation of logistics? Is there a way that can be done, or is it something that is pie in the sky because everybody still wants to use their own suppliers, and we can't really enforce that legislation?
Look, I mean, until it becomes regulated, which I don't think that'll happen anytime soon in South Africa, at least. And I think, you know, I think organizers have tried in the past to do the preferred supplier approach, but I think ultimately, if we're honest with each other, it's all around costs. And so the agents or the funding bodies, whoever's building these stands and bringing in stuff from overseas, is going to look for the cheapest option. So that's where it becomes a responsibility, not just on the organizers, but also suppliers, to engage with their clients and our clients and educate them as to why they should be using a different supplier if the supplier that they've selected isn't going to do things in a sustainable way. So I think it'll take time, but I agree with what my fellow panelists are saying. I think it's the partnerships that we develop, and it's the education that we do now, so that in 5 or 6 years' times, and I think, you know, it came up in a webinar I was on recently, obviously with you, John. We did a Sustainability 101 session for exhibition organizers, and I saw in the chat a lot of people saying, well, you know, how can we look at sustainability? It's going to cost more. It's going to be more difficult to implement. There aren't suppliers that are offering this. And I mean, a lot of it's nonsense, but unfortunately, that is a perception in the industry. So I think a large piece of the work that we need to do over the next 5 years is educating fellow organizers, other suppliers, but also exhibitors and clients that there are these other options, and that more often than not, they are actually more cost effective.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, it goes to the economies of scale. You know, if you can get one exhibition logistics company, or let's say 2, for a specific exhibition, hopefully getting everybody to use that will bring the price down, and also the carbon footprint, because ultimately, if we're all using independent logistics suppliers, that's going to shoot the carbon footprint of that exhibition or event out the window. And that's where we come in as an association, or that's where the Net Zero Carbon Events Initiatives here is trying to drive the reduction of that carbon footprint. And if you're going to just find one supplier that doesn't work according to environmentally friendly practices in their shipping or their freighting, you're going to end up destroying that entire event's carbon footprint. So there has to be some sort of solution, and hopefully it's going to be industry driven. And like we say, each company needs to start implementing it for themselves in order to be able to become more environmentally friendly. But thanks very much for that, Josh.
Sure.
Agreement sentiment. Orphee, from your side, just carrying on a little bit more from what Joshua had to say, how do you envisage the role of logistic companies evolving to meet the net zero events targets? What should logistics companies be implementing, and what should organizers be looking for when they appoint a logistics company that will help them to reduce the carbon footprint of their exhibition or event?
Thank you for your question. I will say it again, everyone has said already, but it's a key fact about what we want to do. It's education. Companies have to be educated in order to understand what they have to do, how they have to do it. So regarding your question, and for me being more specific, it would be companies who are willing to change and to shift their logistics part and make them more sustainable, more eco-friendly, companies who will invest in their people, in their assets, in their equipment, in their communication with other subcontractors, companies which will invest to their communication and collaboration with the stand builders, the organizers, the venues, companies who would have the network to support this, companies which will have a long-term partnership with an organizer, with a venue, companies that would want to work things out, companies that will learn and hear the different point of view from the organizer, and will try to understand more in a better way. And finally, companies who would work for the exhibitor. At the end of the day, the exhibitor is the key to all this. So we have to listen the exhibitor needs, not only just as logistics companies, but as a team player with the organizers and the other suppliers and subcontractors at the same time. I agree with what Jacqui said. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go as a team. So I think everyone here today is on the page that we want to go as a team.
Indeed, absolutely. I think that is critical, is that the whole industry in the different contributors towards the success of the events and exhibition industry need to work together. And again, the thread is very clear to me in today's discussion that it's about partnerships and it's about education. Jacqui, getting back to the education part or the partnership parts, obviously as a supplier to the industry, as a logistics partner to the industry, what is it that you use when you get the objection from clients about the cost of it, or the fact that, you know, we need to send something very quickly and we're not doing that 3-month planning, because we know in South Africa everything's lastminute.com, and suddenly you're faced with having to do things in a hurry. How would you overcome those objections?
So
and advise.
Yeah, John, it's coming down to, it's, if people are going to chase the cheap price, like John said, it's really going to come back and bite you, because if you're going to take the cheapest truck down to Cape Town, you're going to know he's going to spill oil all over the road, he's going to be overloaded, his truck is in bad condition. Every transporter that I use, my first observation is, how clean is your truck? If his truck is sparkling, then I know he's looking after his truck, he's servicing his truck, and it's in a great condition, and he's going to get my goods down to Cape Town on time. If he's in a bad condition and it's the cheap and cheerful way to go, you really are going to pay for that at the end of the day, because he's not going to make the show. And I think it comes about educating. people realizing that if you're going to take a cheap advantage, you're not going to get there. And it's trusting people who have the knowledge. It's, are they a member of IELA or EXA or AXA? They're a member of association. I come back to, if you're a member of an association, you're serious about your business. And you should be trusting people who are members of associations. And if people from IELA are telling you this is going to happen, you need to trust that information and not go shopping for the cheapest, because you are going to land up in trouble, which lands up costing you more money at the end of the day. And I think sometimes we've got to say no. If somebody comes to me and says, I've got a last minute, I want it there tomorrow, at some point it's not possible. An aeroplane can only fly as fast as it can. There's a logistic process that goes. A ship can only sail as fast as it goes. So it's a matter of, okay, a case study or a story is we had 37 containers coming in for a medical conference at CTRCC. The exhibitors were contacted with enough time. They had 3 months to get their products together. They knew they were coming for this big event, and we managed to ship 37 containers to South Africa with very little air freight coming in. It all went into one warehouse. It got cleared. It all got delivered on one day. We delivered 37 containers into CTRCC on one day. We unpacked 37 containers within 8 hours. It was a sleek operation. It went in, it went out, and we stored all their packaging material in containers for when at the end of the show, we delivered it back again. It all got rewrapped, and there was very little waste at the end of the day. What did it take to do that? It took meetings with organizers, venues, suppliers. Everybody was at that meeting. It wasn't only the preferred suppliers that sat down at that meeting. It was all suppliers that sat down at that meeting. Everybody knew when, and how they needed to be. We managed to keep all the stand building material out of the aisles so that everybody could move around. Because if your aisles are free, there's an efficiency. It comes down to your digital platforms, to planning, to dialogue, to trust, being transparent and trusting each other with the information that you're sharing. It was absolutely, it worked like clockwork. And that's when you're working with a set of professionals where people are part of an association. There's a code of conduct everybody adheres to. There's a professionalism, and there's collaboration across the board. And it was a success. So it really is coming down to collaboration, dialogue, and having proper digital systems in place.
And that, Jacqui, is the crux of the matter again, where we're saying that you're having planning and education, and collaboration, which is key to the success of any event. The planning is they say if you don't plan, then you plan to fail, and I think that's critical in what you've just said. Just a quick question, because I see Elizabeth's got her hand up, and Joshua, and I know we pushed for time here, but it's such an exciting topic, and we're getting into the meat of it now. As a South African and a company, how long in advance should South Africans who are doing work abroad, Europe, the United States, in the Middle East, which is becoming quite a big market for South Africa at the moment, be planning their logistic shipments? What would you say is an ideal timeline, quickly?
So you've got 10 days to pack before you're actually to pack into a container. So already you should be a month before making sure all your whatever you're going to be sending should be ready. You start already planning to pack a container 10 days before it leaves the port. South Africa is a long-haul destination. Plan for 30 to 60 days. Our port has 15 days delay. So you've got an added in there. And then it's going to take another 10 to 15 days to clear it into another country. So you're looking at 4 months. 6 months is really when you can make, build, wrap, pack, ship, and get it to the country on time. And then it's easy because once it's here at a destination, then you can actually sit back and get on with your marketing and whatever else that you need to get on with. So it's leave it to the logistics company. We'll plan it out for you. We'll map it out for you. So leave it with us. We'll do the legwork for you. And it allows you to get on with what you're supposed to be doing, the marketing and networking with your clients and booking your clients in your meetings. So leave the logistics to us that can do the mapping for you.
Exactly. That's why you are the experts in your business, and that's why we have experts to let the experts do the expert things, and we as the expert stand builders or organizers get on with our expert knowledge on that. Elizabeth, your hand is up.
Yes, I think repurposing the efficient tools of the past is key. What we are talking about, that we really use technology in the way of, the former exhibitor manual, which is today's the exhibitor area, that we use these technology platforms as data source, as a control, as accountability tool, and as efficient cargo management for the work that we do, logistic providers, but mainly as driver of change. When we are using the online exhibitor area or online exhibitor manual, you can call it as you want, just that could be an incredible enabler for real change.
Fantastic. Agreed. I mean, that is definitely something that we need to take note of and make more efficient use of. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Josh, your hand is up.
Yeah, just a quick comment following on what Jacqui was saying. And I think one of the things I wanted to add to what I said earlier on is that, when I speak to people about it, most people want to be more sustainable. I haven't come across anyone that turns around and says, no, we don't want to do this. So again, I think it goes back to the education portion. It's just helping people know what are the first steps we need to take to implement it. Because I think people look at it and they get very overwhelmed when they hear things like net zero, and they think, well, there's no way we're going to get to net zero. It's too overwhelming. I don't know where to start, therefore I won't do anything. So I think my advice to organizers or suppliers would be, you just got to take the first steps. And the first step should be understanding how your carbon emissions are made up, of which logistics, as we can all agree, is a large portion. How do you go about measuring it? And then once you've got that baseline data, then you can look at what areas you can have the most impact in and how you can reduce it. So I think it's important just to set that, because we all kind of look at it and think, well, people don't want to do it. I think most people I speak to in this industry want to do more in this space. It's just understanding how they go about it and what some of the first steps they can put in place are.
Absolutely, Josh, and that's where we will, as the EGF, work more and more closely together with the likes of yourselves and IELA and other industry partners and associations to help create those points of where do I start from, so that we can encourage the uptake of the initiatives towards working towards that net zero carbon event in 2050. So everybody, thank you so much. This, as Orphee and I said earlier on, we could talk about this for hours and hours, and I think you would all agree, because there's really a lot that one can say, and it's a very interesting a topic, not only the logistics side of it, but all elements that work towards the 8 pillars of the Net Zero Carbon Events Initiative. So we will carry on providing special sessions on that from the EGF's perspective. And who knows, we'll probably revisit this again so that we can have future discussions like we're having today at a future date in 2025. So I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you very much to all our panelists. I just want to ask them very quickly to wrap up by asking them in one sentence, what does the future of net zero event logistics look like? And what would you do today to help you get to that point if you had well, you should have the opportunity to do it. So what would you do today to make sure that the future of the event logistics look like by the time we hit net zero in 2050? And I'll kick off with you, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I think ownership is key. just whatever your function within the value chain is, that you take responsibility what you're doing, and that you commit to measurement, and that you commit just to be accountable, and that you see the collaboration as a key enabler just to do what you need to do. Yeah, of course, everything is related also to investments, to big investments. And I think this is a topic, a big elephant in the room that we will need to address as industry. Just to tackle problems, it's important, but also, the financial resources that we need in order just to do the right thing is something that also needs to be discussed.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Taking notes of that. Joshua, from your side, what's that?
Yeah, I mean, a net zero future for me looks, I would just hope that in the future, exhibition organizers, suppliers, exhibitors have sustainability as one of their key criteria when it comes to choosing an exhibition they want to participate in, or a venue that they're going to host it at, or a logistics service provider. So I think what I'm trying, or at least what we're trying to do from today onwards is drive that throughout the company through education, but also by incentivizing it through KPIs. So one of my core KPIs over the next year, as well as my senior managers, sustainability is key as part of that. And I think the more we can do that, the more we'll see a drive in behavior. So that's it from my side.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Joshua. And Orphee, from your side?
So regarding what Joshua said, just for 1 minute, our company is also involved in 3PL logistics, and we have a lot of clients which is very important to them, sustainability. If we do nothing, we don't get the job. And it's that strict. It's very equal and high level, like the quotation and the pricing itself. So I think it's a matter of time, maybe a couple of years, that this will also happen in the exhibition industry, in our industry. So to answer your question initially, I would like to see everyone in this, everyone here being in the same page. Elizabeth said ownership. We could do that together, work as a team. Elizabeth said there's a bigger elephant which is not here at the moment. Yes, we have to explain to them globally, or as a country, as etc., what we have to do regarding the infrastructure, regarding investments, and make technology an ally. That's what I would love to see in the next couple of years. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you. And before you all sign off, I'd just like to ask the panelists to just remain behind when we close off. We would just like to have a quick discussion with you once we sign off to everybody else. Jacqui, definitely not least, but you're going to have the last word. Again, mute Jacqui.
Hey, this mute button's messing with my brain today. I think it's continually through knowledge driving efficiency in our logistics planning, collaboration amongst all partners, so that actually you delivering seamless events where it's just it's an enjoyment for everybody. The build-ups, the breakdowns are it's efficient. And when something is efficient, it works and everybody can work comfortably within that space. And it's, for me, driving efficiency through knowledge sharing, being aware of your carbon impact. But I think that comes automatic when you're efficient. You automatically will be addressing the carbon impact on the environment.
Exactly. Efficiency leads to less disorganization, which leads to less conflict. So agreed with you 100% on that. In fact, I agree with everybody's sentiments. And at this point, I'd just like to say once again, thank you very much to all our panelists. It's been an incredible morning. As I said, we could go on for hours, but unfortunately, we all have to get back to our paid-for jobs. I'd also like to thank you very much to all those of you who have joined us online. I trust and hope that this has been a fantastic opportunity for you. I hope that you have all learned something from this and that you can take the knowledge that we have gained from today and start implementing it into your businesses, whether it's an exhibition or an event or whatever you may be involved in logistics. Let's start implementing what we've learned today, because remember, we said it starts with us. Let's not wait for somebody else to tell us what to do or to start the process. So, during the war, there was the American saying is, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. So let's not ask what the event industry can do for us. Let's do what we can do for the events industry. So keep that in mind. And then definitely would like to take an opportunity to say thank you very much to Heritage Eco Events and Trigger, for whom are our patron sponsors, and without them today's event would not have been possible. So thank you very much, Heritage Eco Events and Trigger, for your contribution to our patrons sponsorship packages, and thank you again for bringing this to us. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us around the world. Thank you very much to joining us from South Africa, and I wish you from the Event Greening Forum a fantastic, environmentally friendly day today.